Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tuesday evening. It is 9 o'clock. Time for a Tuesday night blethering live stream. But first, as always, a little music. Enjoy.
We are all the heirs to Scotland, as a nation proudly stand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let a flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. To the world we bid a welcome in 1,000 different ways. We will toast to long lost friendships as we build our better days. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum. We are all the heroes of Scotland. We're a nation hand in hand. We will march beneath her banners to protect our ancient land. In the glens and cities, there on every street are the living heroes no army will defeat. Let our flag mean freedom and not a battle drum.
Good evening, folks. I hope you're all well, comfy. I also hope that you all had a very good weekend. With a Monday holiday attached. Nothing to beat it. Jemima Puddleduck, the Earl of Stair. Good evening. Yep, there's a bit of a lag. Just tried that. A bit of a lag. And we've just started. But nevertheless.
Welcome to my home, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my home, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, Treble M. Good evening, October. And good evening, Pacha. Hope you all had a good weekend, folks. Oh, and there's Ragnar. Good evening, Ragnar. Well, I didn't have a particularly good evening myself, weekend myself, to be honest. And I'm feeling a bit fragile tonight. And I discovered something about myself that I wasn't particularly happy about. So what happened was last week I ordered my repeat prescription of morphine. And when I went to collect it on Saturday, I was shocked to discover that it wasn't there, wasn't ready, but more importantly, the prescription itself wasn't in the shop. Of course, at this point, I'm out of morphine and I'm in a long weekend. So I cut down my dosage to 1 pill instead of 2 pills a day. To carry me forward to Tuesday, i.e. today, so that I can finally get this prescription organised. But in the meantime, that short period of time, with half of the prescription, instead of 200 milligrams, now that's all we're talking about here. Milligrams. Okay, it's pure stuff, but it's milligrams. There is more salt on a single chip than is droplets in these capsules. I swear to God, if you've never seen 100 milligrams, folks, it's absolutely nothing. It's the first rung of the ladder for prescribed morphine. That's where I am. But by the time I got to today, I realized that I'm addicted to this stuff. I need it. I can't do without it. That's the very definition of an addict. And here I am, at my age, addicted to morphine. Well, Ian, who knows so much more about this subject, is contradicting my understanding. So So Ian's saying 200 milligrams is quite a lot, John, believe it or not, especially pharmaceutical morphine. Yeah, because it's pure. So I've always thought of that as being nothing. I've always considered it nothing. Because when I was first prescribed this, I asked the doctor, where on the ladder is this? And he said, this is the very first rung. So I then made the reasonable assumption and said to him, so there's a long way to go before you reach maximum. Yeah, oh yeah, says he. Yeah, yeah. So in my mind, I'm on bare minimum, you know. But when I went out today, especially, I felt strange and odd. I wasn't myself. The best way I can describe it is as though everything, it was like a movie, and I had been planted in it, watching what was going on. It was like one step removed from being myself. So I'm going to change my attitude to this medication, partly in thanks to Ian for what he's saying there, and partly from how I felt and still feel, by the way. I'm still not feeling as though I'm totally here, if that makes a kind of sense, as though I'm kind of back here a little bit. Where's Chris when you need him, says Raymond. Yeah, nice joke. Ian is telling me, or us, a 20-pound bag of smack is 500 milligrams. That's about 50 to 10 rather to 15% pure if you're lucky. So you can see that in terms of money anyway, or street value, what I'm taking is worth a few pounds. Treble M is saying there's definitely, this is all acting slow tonight, unless it's me. I'm surprised the doctors prescribed it to you. I thought it was for terminal patient in hospice. Well, the reason why it was prescribed, and I'll go back to it in a minute, Dr. Jimmy, new name here, welcome. Evening, all. Has everyone seen the news about the explosion at Buck Palace? It's all in the news at the moment. Proper Gandar BSA. BS. Yeah, we were informed a little bit earlier. Ah, glory, I tell you. The voice of experience speaks here. Clumsy, cold, runny nose, goosebumps, knotted guts, goosebumps again. Have I missed anything, John? I hope you managed to sleep. Yes, I did manage to sleep, but you're kind of spot on there. Yeah, I was, as the weekend progressed, I was beginning to feel a bit kind of clumsy and doubling down on my attention whenever I did certain things. Runny nose, absolutely. Goosebumps, absolutely. Cold, yeah, but I can be cold often, even when it isn't. Uh, pretty spot on there, I tell you. Yeah. So, folks, I'm sorry to make this public announcement. Perhaps it's really a confession. I'm addicted to morphine. That's my conclusion from the weekend. Good evening, Doc. Probably Charles hit one of Camilla's farms. So anyway, so if I don't quite appear to be myself tonight, you'll understand why, because I'm still operating under my prescribed amount. How long have you been on the prescription, John? Asks October. A good number of years now. A good number of years. Well, I was on it long before the lockups. At the very least, 6 years, probably more. And the reason why this was prescribed, and I'm sure I've described this before, what happened. Rory, the British Army issues its deployed soldiers with 210 morphine injectors. I guess that's 100% morphine, though. Oh yeah, I would think so. Obviously, that's for injuries. They can kill the pain so that they can perhaps move or whatever. You're not alone, John, says Ian. Big Pharma has created many prescription addicts. Treble M is, oops, disappeared. I was told it's harder to come off Valium than heroin. Well, how I got onto it was quite simply one morning I awakened to discover that I had this agonizing, excruciating pain in my right hip. It was so bad that it would take me almost 2 hours to get out of bed and dressed. And all I ever managed to do was go from where the bedroom is to the front room and lie out on the sofa. And that was as much as I could do. And there was no point in phoning a doctor because I'd never get there. I was in so much pain. And this went on. This all happened, of course, right before my birthday. So this is how I spent my birthday, in this agonizing pain. But eventually I had to give in and make an appointment and somehow get myself to the surgery, which I did. And so I was prescribed the standard medication, which I took, and was on it for, I don't know, maybe a little over a week. Now, at the same time, when I went to the doctor, while I was there, he took a blood sample and sent it for analysis. And one day, when I took the medication, this excruciating pain went away. And I had asked the doctor, all I want is to be functional again. Because at this time I had started looking after my mother on a daily basis. So I had to get there. So anyway, I was at home one day and the phone rang and it was a doctor. Now, that was an event right away. A doctor was on the phone to me or anyone. So he says over the phone, "Are you still taking that medication, Mr. Davidson?" And I said, "Yes, of course I am." And he says, "Well, I want you to stop immediately. Right now. Don't take any more." And why is this? He says, "Because it's killing you. You seem to be completely allergic to this medication. And so you need to stop it right away." And that's why he was phoning, because he didn't want my death on his hands. So it was obviously serious. So I made my way back, and that's when he said, "The only other thing I can give to you is morphine." And that's how I ended up being on the morphine, because the usual prescriptions don't apply to me. And so here I am. And it only showed up because of this shortfall and how I have been feeling. And that has come gradually over the weekend. So I suspect, quite naturally, if I went on in this manner, taking half of the prescribed dosage, I would actually get worse, because the cumulative effect of the morphine in my body would slowly dissipate, and that addiction would become even more evident. So there you go, folks. I don't say it with any pride. It's just the way things have to be. uh, he meant Murphy's Law, John. A few pints. Ian is saying they will prescribe me anything other than opioids. I'm a bad, bad boy. So it's It's a kind of peculiar feeling I have, yeah, being here and somehow feeling that you're not here. Yeah, never mind. We'll get through it. I'll be back to my usual dosage tomorrow. And I managed to get that all squared up today. So, all's well that ends well, as the old saying goes, does it not? So, we've got this thing at Buck Palace, have we? You can see I'm all frustrated and worried about that. It won't be any of our people, that's for sure. Uh, See there, that's not even taken right. That's better. Ian, John, you should have called me, you old sod. Sod, rather, you old sod. Never occurred to me, Ian, honestly. It wasn't till, believe it or not, this didn't occur to me until, because I had to take the prescription myself, obviously I had then to wait. So it was 15 to 20 minutes. So I went outside, and where this particular shop is, there are seats close by. So I was sitting there, obviously having a cigarette, and these thoughts began to percolate. The more I thought about it, I thought, Jings to hang, you've been turned into an addict, John. uh, so that's how late in the day it occurred to me that what was actually going on. So that'd be another reason why I wouldn't think of it, Ian. But I appreciate what you're saying. If that should ever happen again, I will remember your offer. John, a bit like delirium. Yeah, something like that. Raymond, I totally relate to that hip pain. I peeled something in my groin a few years ago, says Raymond. The pain was so excruciating, I was losing my mind. Yeah, I totally empathize and identify with that, Raymond. Totally, totally. And then when I thought about all of that at that time, I realized that this arthritis had been working on me for many years, and I didn't recognize it at the time. But when I look back, I realized, yeah, this has been coming for a while. And I just never put it together at the time. Again, it was much later on when I look back on it. That pain didn't suddenly appear out of nowhere. There had been years before it, warning signs that by themselves meant nothing to me and were too fleeting, if you like, to ever bother to go to a doctor. Why would you go to a doctor? I'm not in pain. I don't feel ill. Why waste a doctor's time? That's my thinking, right? Ragnar saying, I've damage in my right hip and the fat deposit, it would send you mental. And a fat deposit, it would send you mental. There's Woodlander. That's nice. Good evening, Woodlander. Exiled saying, had to, I've had a dull aching back of the knee. Well, come back. Come back. Uh, Sorry about that. It just jumped away. I've had a dull aching back of the knee for over a year, says Exile. Maybe it's arthritis and I'm not horribly old. No, you don't have to be old. That's the thing about arthritis. You don't have to be old to get it. Good evening, William. So yeah. So that was my weekend. It wasn't great because of it. Good evening, Skywalker. I said hello to Duck. I haven't got anybody to catch up with. No. Oh. William saying, oh, come back. John, brother, you have already paid for your docs. It would be them that's wasting your money. It's just the mindset that I was brought up with, William. That's it, really, in a nutshell. Everyone in the family is exactly the same, you know. Wendy B, that's a new name here as well. There's two new names tonight. Good evening, Wendy B. So anyway, that was that. So I want to go back to. Oh, we'll play this video first. If you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty shocking in its implications.
To 15-year-old to get, quote, wild and curious at Birkhead this year? Well, weirdly enough, you're in luck. Because it says a supported outdoor meetup for 11 to 15-year-old LGBTQIA plus young people to engage creatively with nature is taking place. And as always, here's where it takes a dark twist. Because it says it's suitable for 11 to 15-year-olds, specifically without their grown-ups. They don't want you there, they simply want the kids. These are preteens being separated from their parents. And I know I'm making jokes, but I really don't find any of this funny, because it's being put on by a group called Curious Arts who specialise in this sort of cringe. They do events all around the country, and I'm sure they'll be coming to a forest near you soon. But even better than all of this is that the event is free. You see, these people are nice enough that they don't need your money. I think they've got their eyes on another sort of prize. But speaking of that, what do they get in return? Well, I don't know, nor will we ever find out. Because if you're thinking that you can just wait in the car in case your child needs you, well, they specifically advise against waiting nearby. It says parents and carers don't feel like you have to wait in the car. Why not take the opportunity to explore this corner of rural Gateshead and nearby County Durham? Meaning that instead of staying to keep an eye on everything, they want to send you 17 miles away to County Durham. They don't want you anywhere near this place. In fact, it's 30 minutes minimum. And honestly, guys, much like yourself, occasionally I see an article or a situation which stops me in my tracks. And this is one of them. Because people all say it's not happening, and they'll also call you phobic. But just remind them There is an organisation that is taking 11 to 15-year-olds into the forest to discuss their gender identity in secret whilst they send the parents 17 miles away. It sounds so bad, yet it's happening all over the country, but they'll still call it a conspiracy right to your face.
This country has gone crazy.
So there you go, folks. There where we are today. What can you say? Well, what William says is, I'm currently making a vid on Antarctica and Admiral Byrd. Said in the 1940s, the area is heating up. I believe the whole world is heating up. Not much changes, eh? Good for you, William. And while you're doing that, could you mention the fact that Admiral Byrd is mentioned in my novel? We plug there for one of my books. Raymond is telling us, I see one of the US states are calling for the death penalty for pedos. Yeah, well. Well, Woodlander is adding to this. What sort of parent takes their kids to a alphabet hideaway? Exactly. People who obviously don't deserve the joy of children. Outrageous, I tell you. Exactly, Doc. Away from prying eyes, total fine, I'm sure. Anything happens, it's a child's word against whoever the adults are. Outrageous. Now, if you remember last week when I was talking about the party, the political party that is, one of the things that I have learned from that experience, just one of the many, is the thing that when it came to setting the subscription fee, I found that very difficult, very difficult. I wanted it to be affordable to actual pensioners, and I thought if I made it affordable to actual pensioners, the other people, even those unemployed, would be able to afford it also. But I've come to the conclusion now that I made a terrible error in that. And what I should have done is I should have set it at that amount, £20. But here's where I went wrong. And here I'm copying the Woodlander. It never occurred to me to offer people the idea, well, you could pay it up if you can't afford the £20. And I've come to realise that we're all getting to that point, that £20 to find can be sometimes tough and at other times near impossible. So the idea would be for this future idea that I have, and there would be a subscription charge of £20. but to allow people to pay it in pieces. Because one of the other things that I've learned from experience now is that PayPal is not our friend. PayPal is definitely one of our enemies. Considering all the trouble they have caused me. And the reason that I say that is because they knew exactly what bank account any money was going into. And of course, the name on the bank book is the party name. So they knew that money going into PayPal was then being transferred into a political party bank account. And that's when the trouble started. If you remember, some of you will remember, it took months upon months upon months to sort it all out. And it could only have been done by someone inside PayPal, because no one else has got any kind of information that I have to PayPal. I'm the only one that has that. So anything that went wrong with that account would, by necessity, have to come from someone inside the organization itself to cause trouble, because they had the information to do it, and then they did it. So in future, anything that I set up, and I will set something up, don't worry, will have nothing to do with PayPal. It'll all go through Buy Me a Coffee, which is simpler to operate and doesn't have where the money's going registered in the account. So what I can easily then do is take the money from Buy Me a Coffee, put it into my funds, and then transfer it to any future party funds in a proper bank account, properly set up in the normal way. So you could see then that it would be much more stable for everyone, and would allow people who want to join but find it tough to put £20 together and keep it, by allowing them. And if it's through Buy Me a Coffee, then it's set by the organisation itself. It's set then at £5 a donation, so you can then pay it over 4 payments and still become a member. I would still, of course, need your personal name and postal address for membership reasons. But it would streamline it and make, in my estimation, it would make me sleep easier at night if PayPal no longer had anything to do with this, because of what's already happened. But I got the idea because Woodlander was talking about paying up for his idea. I thought, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I offer that to people? So when that comes around, I'll mention this all again, because there were still plenty of people who were on that I'm going to join list and never did. And perhaps for some of them at least, that might be the reason, because they're so skint because of their circumstances. I know, Ragnar, that it's been like that since I started out. There's a lag, and you notice the banner stops. So yeah, I'm aware, Ragnar. I didn't realise the picture itself was freezing. There's a terrible lag. You need to explain to me, Raymond, what that means. BMAC, link John. Oh, buy me a coffee. Well, I haven't put it up. Deliberately haven't put it up, Raymond. Simply because I'm trying to unmesh from the pensioner party. And because I mentioned these financial things that I'm paying myself when I shouldn't be, I knew that at least one of you would jump and offer help, and it was William. When I announced this last week, I knew someone would do it, at least one of you would do it. And that wasn't my intention. That wasn't my reason for bringing the subject up. But it was my way of avoiding embarrassment on my side because then it would have looked as though I was appealing for money when I wasn't. So I decided not to put it up, and I'm not having it up again this week for the very same reason. Okay. But I'm already explaining to you anything that I launch in the future, and I will, believe you me. At the moment, it can easily be done in the ways that are possible for you. You can either do it through Buy Me a Coffee, so you'd buy 4 coffees and that would be your full membership, or you could buy one, which would be a £5, still send me your email, and then I can still use that information as part of the new group, and I can mark next to it that you've paid £5. And if you went on doing that over a period of time, when you had paid the £20, that would be your subscription paid. So I'm kind of nicking that, if you like, from Woodlander. And I don't know why it never occurred to me before. But I'll mention all this again when the time comes round. Oh, there's St. Thomas Aquinas. There's quite a gap between me pressing for that to come on the screen and it actually appearing. Well, I'm not sure, mannequin, about that. Is it the green screen or not? I've been using that green screen since it was bought for me by my son. And most of the time, I don't see anything and no one complains. No, there is a lag. I'm not sure whether it's what's causing it, because I don't know enough technically. So anyway, I wanted to tell you all that because it's important, that information. I just thought at the time, being as I usually am, trusting, I just trusted that PayPal were more interested in making a profit than where their customers were putting their money. You're correct, Woodlander. He is saying times are tight for some people. We all understand that. A low weekly or monthly amount that can help is sometimes much easier. Yeah, I don't know why it never occurred to me. It just never occurred to me to say that to folk. And it wasn't until I heard you saying it, oh, why didn't I do that? William is telling me it's the green screen. Well, let's put it to the test then. Yeah, you let me know if the lag's gone. Kind of looks it. Drum rolls. Brown. No, that's better, Ragnar. Right. Okay. Well, we'll stick with the basic screen and nothing else. Beyond that screen is the mystery. Skywalker. Skywalker. He's talking to the Woodlander. I've thought about a couple of substantial projects for your new venture. This would serve the community, possibly. How to relate it to you is another matter. Well, there's a simple way you can relate it, Skywalker. Is you could, if you had his email address, you could write to him. If it's to be of a private nature, and I would suggest at this point in the project, it should be a private message. There's no more, I don't think there's any point in making a big public hoo-ha through public discussion. Until things are much further along than they are at the moment. At the moment, as far as I know, there's a website to be put together, and that is what he said he was working on. Trouble is, Ragnar, I'm old enough to know that song. John, you're behind the green door. The green door. Yeah, I know that. Well, that's the thing, isn't it, Dominic? No log, no lag, but I'm cold now. The fire's out. Oh, William leaves at this point. We'll catch you in about 40 minutes. He's off to walk his dog. All right, enjoy your walk, William. See you in a bit. Raymond, I thought when the green screen went, we would see the pearly gates where John resides. Oh, very good. Yeah, and all that legal stuff has got to be done as well. And the legal stuff with forming a private members club and a limited company. Company to issue shares to members is quite a bit of work. Absolutely. Think about cooperative, Woodlander, an old-fashioned cooperative. Just saying this. Good evening, Anglo. Again, I know nothing about the legal side, so I don't know how complicated. Limited liability company is if you buy them off the shelf are quite quick and easy, I'm told. But that's obviously not what you've got in mind. You want everything, I assume, tailor-made. And rightly so, I would say. Rightly so. So anyway, it's time for a bit of music. And not my music, I might add. This is a piece by our good friend Durst, titled Study 14. So let me shift it. I hope you enjoy this, folks. Hello there, pagan tree. Well, it would seem that it's gone down well. It's good. I like their stuff, says Skywalker. I prefer lying back in a recliner listening in electron vacuum tube heaven. Watching one of our own music videos, Pagan Tree, a man by the name of Drust the Fourth, D-R-U-S-T, the fourth in Roman numerals, who has his own YouTube. And that's just one of the many musical tracks. I like to play them every now and then because it's very different from anything that I've ever made, which is good. So you get a contrast of styles. Ian, writing my report for the doctor, he has to do this apparently. Cup of tea, then I'll be transferring upstairs. Very good. Well, it seems to have gone down rather well, but his material usually goes down very well on this channel. So there you go. My next political group will benefit enormously from what I've learned the first time out, folks. And that's one of them. Everyone will be able to pay up their subscription, so that should not be a barrier to anyone. And it'll all be done through Buy Me a Coffee, who will have no information regarding the bank account. Not that anything's happened in the bank account presently. They can't yet do anything, but they have fouled up the use of their facility, and it took me a long time, far too long, to get it unscrambled, and it was definitely an inside job. So far, so good with Buy Me a Coffee. I've not had any trouble whatsoever with it. It was very easy to set up, and it's very easy to withdraw the cash. So next time out, folks, that's the way I'll be going. I'll be using that. And of course, there is always, if you have a checkbook, you can always use a checkbook. And again, you could do that in small amounts. Or postal orders, good old-fashioned postal orders, they still do exist. So there'll still be plenty of options in how you can join this group when I form it. But I've got other things that I need to do regarding the Pensioners Party, and they need to be done first. Says Skywalker, I'll have a half calf double decaf skinny flat white latte. I certainly hadn't heard that. Pagantree. Gordon Lightfoot passed away today. R.I.P. Absolutely. Springer as well. Jerry Springer as well. Goodness gracious. Well-known names in showbiz. Jerry. Yeah. Well, into the next part of the journey, aren't they? Which nicely introduces the next short video I have for you. Now, having previously watched this one, folks, like all of them, bear with this. You have to watch right to the absolute end. Don't let your attention fail you, okay? And I'm sorry I can't make it any bigger, but just have a listen to this story.
Being God until this happened. During World War II, 18-year-old Matt was bullied every day for believing in God. One day, his commander called him in front of everybody. He ordered Matt to park the Jeep in front of the military base, but Matt responded that he can't drive. The commander screamed and told Matt why he doesn't ask for help from his so-called God, and everyone laughed. Matt was scared, but he still took the keys, drove the Jeep, and parked it perfectly where the commander wanted it. Matt stepped out of the Jeep to see all soldiers in tears. Even the commander took his hat off in disbelief of what he just saw. Matt was extremely confused until the commander opened the hood of the Jeep. The Jeep had no engine, and Matt broke out and cried. This is the God that I serve. If you believe in miracles, type I believe in miracles in the comments and share this with someone. This soldier was made fun of for believing in God until this happened. During World War II, 18-year-old Matt was bullied every day for believing in God. One day, his commander called him in front of everybody. He ordered Matt to park the Jeep in front of the military base, but Matt responded that he can't drive. The commander screamed and told Matt why he doesn't ask for help from his so-called God, and everyone laughed. Matt was scared, but he still took the keys, drove the Jeep, and parked it perfectly where the commander wanted it. Matt stepped out of the Jeep to see all soldiers in tears. Even the commander took his hat off in disbelief of what he just saw. Matt was extremely confused until the commander opened the hood of the Jeep. The Jeep had no engine, and Matt broke out and cried. This is the God that I serve. If you believe in miracles, type I believe in miracles in the comments and share this with someone.
So there you go, folks. Good evening, Amanda. Quite a story, is it not? We have to listen right to the end, of course. Matt, his name was Matt, and I'm sure you picked up the story that they kept picking on him because he said he believed in God, and none of them did. He was forced to drive a Jeep, but can't drive, or couldn't at that time. And he parked it perfectly first time where his officer wanted it. Only to discover that the Jeep had no engine in it. Worked that one out. That's not a miracle. I don't know what is. Ian, one of my neighbour's dog has gone into season. Perfect timing. My wee dog has just turned teenager. He has been strutting around the garden like a wolf. Oh dear. Beats me. That's why I say you have to be careful. You're very well spotted. I don't know. No idea, Parker. It could just be a hoax, just made up for clicks. So, well spotted though. Amanda, anyone seen the movie Axe Saw Ridge? True story about a man of faith? No, I have not seen it, Amanda. I'll look out for it though. I'm assuming that's some kind of endorsement from Amanda. So might be worth a look. Anyway. So it's another day in the madhouse. And as I sit here, I am feeling a little bit better than I did an hour ago. crazy. Reading the comments, yeah. Rory, a bitch in the heat came past my house today. That's a leading sentence there. She and my dog were on their hind legs, literally hugging each other through the front gate. We souls. Ah dear. And we talk about others controlling us. Oh, it's on YouTube, is it? Oh, well, that's good to know. It's on YouTube. What was that name again? Ridge Saw. What was that? What's the name of that film, Amanda? Axel Ridge, right? Axel Ridge. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, I've got it. I'll just bookmark that. Thank you very much, Amanda. Got that bookmarked. I'll definitely give that a watch. Oh, MYT, good evening. Oh, you know this film, obviously. Great film, says MYT. Oh, that makes me look forward even more. I'll see how I feel later after the stream's finished. So, thanks for that, Amanda. No, not Hacksaw Ridge Skywalker. Axe Saw Ridge. Not Hack. Axe. A-X-E. Looks interesting. We'll see. I'll definitely give it a view. Axsaw. S-A-W. Correct. Right, I've got another one of these shorts for you. As usual, I'll play it twice so you get the information.
Rapists from West London drove a woman out to Slough and threatened her in a secluded park before carrying out a horrific sexual assault. They told her they intended to force her into prostitution. She was forced to take her clothes off before they raped her, and recorded the incident on their mobile phones. Following a 10-day trial, Kasra Esmaili and Aziz Nasser were both found guilty of 2 counts of rape and 2 counts of common assault. To be sentenced. 2 twisted rapists from West London drove a woman out to Slough and threatened her in a secluded park before carrying out a horrific sexual assault. They told her they intended to force her into prostitution. She was forced to take her clothes off before they raped her, and recorded the incident on their mobile phones. Following a 10-day trial, Kasra Esmaili and Aziz Nasser were both found guilty of 2 counts of rape and 2 counts of common assault. To be sentenced. 2 twisted rapists from West London drove a woman out to Slough and
Records. You're selling your record collection. Oh, think about that before you do it. MYT is giving us a synopsis here. He signed up but would not touch a rifle. It is a great film and true to a point, I suppose. Again, sounds interesting. I will definitely give that. Getting old. Listen to him. No, when you get to my age is when you're old. "2016, I imagine you mean, Amanda, not 2960. She's corrected herself. Came out in 16. Yeah, it's not that old. Not that old. Ian, I know he's talking to Skywalker. If my neighbour's dumb English bulldog isn't quick, my wee Kush will be in there like a rocket. They bought the wee dogs to breed. They are never walked. Boils my piss, says Ian. Yeah, that's cruelty. That's what that is. And this is why pistols are very handy, says Exile. Always the one with a quip is our exiled. Well, that's an excellent choice of words there, Amanda, and I couldn't agree more. No. It's perfectly in keeping, Amanda. You know the word not to use, but that's a perfect choice of words in this occasion. That's what those people are. Outrageous. Slough is an awful town these days, adds Rory. Well, yes, Treble M, I know. So many more places are awful nowadays, including where I live. And I have seen with my own eyes where Treble M lives. And if she were able to get out of there, she would. This is what I'm saying as well, Rory. Don't sell your record collection. I sold mine many years ago. And I've always regretted doing so. Absolutely. I've had to sell things over the years, and I can honestly say, Skywalker, that everything I ever sold was not through choice, but nevertheless, I still grieve about today. Can't be arsed getting up to flip the disc over. You only really get 20 minutes aside, approximately, unless it's a prog rock album. There's Ludwig. Good evening, Ludwig. No, I don't think you should do that. I've done that. I did that once myself, Skywalker, believe it or not. This is really true. I did. When I was a teenager. My mother, being my mother, had bought me a record player. Came in a big box. Played 78s, 33s and 45s. And I had gathered up 45s with my own money. And in a moment of stupid recklessness, that's all it was, I sold not only the record player, but all the records that I had patiently built up. Now, I'm not saying any of these records were spectacular. They were just pop records of the day, and that's not the point. I should really have kept them. And that's happened with me over my life, and even with books, because of moving house so many times, breaking up the beginnings of a library, and then selling it off or giving it away. I've done that too often in my life, and I regret every time. If I had all the books I had ever bought in this house, I can assure you, Skywalker, especially you, because you've been in my house, they would not fit in the cubby hole. I would need the bedroom. And that's a great regret, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Well, there you go. Anglo is saying, I used to own an SS ceremonial dagger. Now, I've actually seen one of these things. Not that I owned it. It didn't belong to me, but it did belong to someone who I knew. It was a gorgeous piece of work. Let's forget what it may represent, whether for the good or the bad, depending on how you look at these things. But as a piece of artwork, I mean, they're just incredible things. So having to sell it definitely would break your heart, no doubt about it. And I have had to sell valuable pieces of equipment. And that's why I don't have any now. I'm talking about photographic equipment. I had to sell my whole camera outfit, my Hasselblad kit. And I had a few pieces of that kit. All Hasselblad stuff, all gone. Never to be repeated. And there where the real tragedy lies, because it's never to be repeated. And it would be the same with your record collection. Oh, sure, you could get them back again in various ways, but not in the way that you presently have them. Sorry for making a big thing of this, Skywalker. It's because it's happened to me so many times. Ludwig saying, I let a Les Paul custom guitar, original case, P90 pickups, go for peanuts. Wow. Needed the cash. Idiot move. Yeah. Jeez, oh. A custom. Original case too. Best of pickups. Oh. Not that I've had anything like that. My expensive guitar is my acoustic guild, but I do also have, and I didn't buy it, by the way. I do have a real Fender Telecaster, left-handed, and it's a nice piece, but with a case. I didn't buy it. It was bought for me. If I went into that story, you would soon agree with me, I think, that it was bought as a bribe. Do you remember when I was telling you, well, some of you will remember this. MYT, John, are you in Greenock, not too far from you? We have been flooded with these people in the last 12 months under the cover of the Ukrainian war. Yes, you're correct. That's exactly where I am. And all I see, and today was a good example, as I was telling you, I was sitting outside the pharmacy waiting on my prescription, and most of the people I saw today were black Africans. That's just the truth of it. Most of the people. And I'm talking about right next to the railway station. And most of the people, not coming out of the station, but just coming and going. Some came from the station. And most of those people were black Africans. And people do notice. They say nothing, but they do notice, because I was watching other people's reactions. The few people that went by, I was watching how they responded. Ludwig, I love Telecasters. Five electric to play. Do you know, I hardly play that, hardly ever have, since it was given to me. Well, I was going to tell you how I got it. Well, I've told the story, the true story of having a psychopath in my life. Well, this particular individual went off the rails, just like I described um, when I spoke about it recently. Got himself into serious bother with the law and was sentenced to 12 years in prison. For various violent sexual crimes. When he came out, his father had died, and his jointly owned house at the time of the criminal offence is plural, you'll notice. His father had died and left him money, and the house had been sold, and he had his cut. So when he finally left prison, he had a lot of money, a lot of money. But while he had been in prison, he had begun the process of learning how to play guitar, because he knew me, obviously, when I was in a group. So the idea was that if he learned to play the guitar, he and I could play together, and it would be like old times again. That was the thinking behind all of this. And so when I brought up the thorny subject of having lost my original Telecaster, left-handed, which was a white one, without me knowing, he went and got the local shop and had them search out a new Telecaster made by Fender, left-handed, and I had said I would prefer a Sunburst now if I had a choice, rather than a white one. And so it was presented to me by this person. But what he couldn't understand, because psychopaths are not fully functional, is that that never made up. It's not the one that I lost. Only by getting the one that I'd lost back again would make it up. He couldn't understand that by buying another one, that would somehow make up for the loss. But you can't take the loss away. So I have a Fender Telecaster, left-handed, Sunburst. Beautiful guitar, without a doubt. But I've never really played it. And I think that's why, partly. I'll find out what you folks are talking about now. You're talking about guitars back there. Ludwig, make sure those guitars get properly valued or kept in the family, etc. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Although my son is left-handed, he does not play. But that can always change. Good evening, Steve. I've got two boys here. Oh, yeah. My son and his little lad, taken under my wing with a nasty stomach bug. So I have my hands full, I'll bet. Well, that's it. That's it, Raymond. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. 2 out of 3. ain't bad. Which two did I have? Let me think. I only had one. The rock and roll. Never had sex. No, it never went with the job. Or should I say, never went with the territory back then. Not at my level, it didn't. And drugs, nah, never. Well, cigarettes and alcohol, of course. But we never went on stage drunk. A couple of pints, that was it. So, so yeah, I've got, and I see that I got, oh, it's a message from my sister. Ah, can't show you that. Can't show you that, folks. That's got a family photograph. Don't want to dox anybody. So there you go, folks. That's what I learned about myself. Terrible. Much love to you all. I'll try and stick around, but I might have to go any second. I'm on bowl duty. Oh dear. And for that, two boys that age. So yes, back to things, material things. People like ourselves should, whenever possible, hang on to material things that not only we love, but will have a potential value, monetary value. There's nothing wrong about that. And it goes hand in hand with another working class attitude, or at least it used to be a working class attitude. Certainly amongst my generation, I certainly got it uh, from my mother and the extended family that I belong to. And that is, when you're going to buy something, you buy the best you can possibly afford, because you buy it with the intention of not needing to replace it. See, there's another good example here. Mannequin is, mannequin, yeah. I had a lovely Taylor. Now, for those who are not guitarists, Taylor is one of the top brands. Dreadnought acoustic, sounded and smelt beautiful. They're very expensive, Taylor guitars. I don't particularly like them, but I know they're valuable and really good guitars. It's not a brand that I would pick myself, would be a Taylor. Rory's telling us, and me, did you know? Oh, hang on, come back. Did you know there's a record player manufacturer in Glasgow called Lynn Products who make a record player that costs around £25,000. Good God. No, I did not know that. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. October, is that the same Lynn company that make drum machines? Could be, or a different arm of it. So anyway, he says no. No, it's not the same company. Okay. But no, I didn't know that. Skywalker is telling us it cost £1,000 back, £1,000 back in 2006. It's a Taylor DN3, if that means anything to anybody. It doesn't mean a thing to me, Skywalker. As I say, Taylor was never a brand that I looked at seriously, if at all. I just know them, they make great guitars. And I don't think Robert, I know someone selling a second-hand Alexa if you're interested. Oh, that's good. But I've talked about this before, folks. When I was a boy, my Uncle Mick, because I asked what it was, he had this circular silver-looking thing attached to his pocket watch chain. And one day I asked him what it was, and that's all it was. I just wanted to know what it was. And he took it off his chain and he gave it to me. And what it was a silver shilling piece. A silver one. And from that one coin, I started collecting coins. Now, I'm not saying any of them are worth any real money, but I can leave that behind, along with personal, real jewellery, such as this ring and wedding rings belonging to his mum and dad and granny, and all that stuff is valuable on two levels, obviously. And that's why we should keep as many of these treasure goods as we possibly can. Not just stuff like that, but things like guitars, musical instruments. Faith acoustic guitars are really good, says Skywalker. I had the entry level Faith Naked Venus, really nice guitar. Never heard of it. Faith acoustic. Never heard of it, Skywalker. My generation, there was only 3 top guitar suppliers and makers, and that was Guild, Gibson, and Fender, or Gretsch rather. Gretsch. Ludwig is saying, all I play now are charity shop Spanish guitars. Got several that I picked up for 10 or 20 quid. They're decent, sound great, Love playing nylon string acoustics. That's the main thing, Ludwig, so long as you're happy with what you have. I very rarely play, if I play at all, I very rarely play the Guild guitar, which is a tailor-made left-hander. But more often than not, I play a right-handed guitar swung round, partly because it's got a smaller body. So if I'm just messing around, I usually use that one. But a different matter, of course, if I was going to record, then I would take the Guild out and use the Guild for the recording. So Skywalker is telling us that a faith naked Venus, all solid woods, £400 online, roughly around that mark. Well, my generation, Ian, Gretsch was always counted up there, along with Gibson. The three G's: Gibson, Gretsch, and Guild. And I like Guild. It's got I've got a one up from an entry level Guild. I don't. Ragnar saying, John, I'm left-handed but play right-handed upside down. Do you know, I've seen that before. I've seen people play that way. Just looks crazy to me, but I've seen it done. Good players, I might add. Duck, John, the man who inspired Kurt Cobain to turn his right-handed guitar upside down. Oh, John's the man, right? Yeah, the other one was, what do you call them? All along the boardwalk, the left-handed guitarist who had a left-handed guitar, but he played guitar upside down as well. Crazy. Skywalker, best guitar I ever had was a Spectre electric bass guitar. I bought a bass guitar myself. A conscious decision in that regard, of course. It was the very last guitar in the shop when they closed it. Raymond is saying, after my marriage split, I bought a guitar to learn, but my hands are so arthritic and gaily from years of carpentry, it was impossible to get the chords. Did you ever think, Raymond, of, or perhaps you never came across it, the possibility of open tuning? Had you ever thought of that? That would overcome the problem. By and large, it could. So if you had an open tuning, all you'd be doing is barring on the frets to get your chord changes. And very small amount of fingering for minor chords. It's often used very effectively. if you're still interested and haven't thought of that or tried it, that might be something worth trying if you're interested. Hendrix, that's the man I was trying to remember. Thanks, Ian. Jimi Hendrix. He was another peculiar left-hander. Oh, without a doubt, Doc. Without a doubt, he was insane. I think he was insane off the guitar as well. I'm just saying that. I don't know. Ludwig, I hope this isn't another sad story about guitars. I got a 1950s Gibson Dreadnought. Wow. My dad bought it off a junkie at art college for £5. Oh my God. And in the 60s, that's the family heirloom. But all I play are my cheap Spanish guitars. Love that sound. Wow. A Gibson Dreadnought from that era. I know somebody who had one. In fact, he's playing on my record. And he's playing that Gibson Dreadnought on my record. So I know I heard it often, that guitar. It's a beautiful guitar. He also had a Gibson banjo. And that's out of this world. It's a banjo, Jinx. Steve, I was at my son's award assembly at his primary school last Friday, and it was lovely that all but 2 of the 250 kids were white. You white. Are you it? Just saying. Well, there you go. There's a good example of open tuning. Skywalker. I play a track called Hope on acoustic in open tuning. Very effective. Dadgad tune. Now that's a world famous, very popular open tuning arrangement. Dadgad. Easy to do, but will allow you to play many, many pieces. Hendrix strings were strong left-handed though. Ian, getting right into a young man called Ren Gill at the moment. Talented performer. Can't say the name means anything to me, Ian. I like Willie Nelson myself, to be honest, Ludwig. Jerry Reed is not known to me. At the time, Ludwig is saying Gibson make awesome banjos there, not cheap. Yeah, well, that's absolutely true because at the time, and the time would be, well, he owned it when I met him, and I met him at the beginning of the 1980s. He had that banjo, and at that point, he had paid 5,000 for it. Again, being a left-hander, that would need to be specially made for me. So it's not something I could ever try. I would have liked to have tried the banjo myself, the five-strung banjo that is, which is what he had. You know, the one with the short string. But I could never find anyone who made them. Ian is adding, Hyren is his masterpiece. It's an incredible piece of work. Moved me to tears. Well, I'm sure he succeeded. Skywalker is adding, the Gibson factory, Kalamazoo, I think California or Florida. I think it's California. You can actually find online, and I've done it myself. They make these promotional videos so you see inside the factory how the guitars are actually made. And it's quite fascinating if you've never seen it. But all these top names that we're talking about now, Guild, Gibson, Gretsch, Taylor, no doubt, this other company that you were talking about, part of that, although it's in a production line, part of it is done by hand so that they can make that claim that it's handmade. But we all know it's not totally handmade. It's just sections of it, apart from the final assembly. So you can find these videos. I've actually watched a few myself. They're interesting. If you're interested in guitars. Rory, ding dong, 11 o'clock. Time to go to bed or get your guitar out. Oh dear, I couldn't tell you the last time I played. I have thought about it though. To be honest, I have thought about it. Ragnar is suggesting we look up Gary Clark Jr. Clark with an E. Yep, Ragnar is reminding us dueling banjos. Fabulous. It's in that great film, of course. with Burt Reynolds. Squeak like a pig. Yeah. Ludwig is telling us, or at least me anyway, I don't know this. Jerry Reed was in Smokey and the Bandit. Guy's a hilarious actor and a brilliant guitarist. Check out Jerry's breakdown with him and Chet Atkins. Reed wrote the Elvis hit Guitar Man too. Thanks for that, Ludwig. Never heard of the guy. Don't think I ever saw that Smokey and the Bandit. I know it was a Clint Eastwood movie, but I don't remember seeing it. Amanda, it's bedtime for 11 o'clock. Thank you for being here again, Amanda. And one other thought that I would wanted to share with you. And again, it went back to the Woodlander and his situation. Now, one of the things he said when he was on here was that he had 100 chickens. And that, we never got very far, as you know. He had to go off because of his phone. But it got me thinking about him and his situation and his idea. And here I was thinking, if it was possible to get his idea up running and buy a bit of land next to his or close to his, depending on what the other person did with the land, let's assume it was done the way that Woodlander set up. There was a house, family was living there, and were making things or growing things like he's doing. It would be very possible then to start up with the excess that both of you don't use to set up a little open air market on your land and sell to the public. That's what I was thinking. A long way away, of course. Are you off as well, Ragnar? Okie doke. Thanks for being here. So with that then, that idea shared, I shall bring on the outro music. And thank everybody for being here. I've already tied up with a good friend 42 that the poetry stream will be on the second Friday of June this year. So for all the poets amongst us, You've got plenty of time to get your ideas down on paper for that live stream. Okie doke. That's the second Friday of June. I'll keep reminding you, of course, so that you can get your thinking caps on. So with that, I'll say, as I always do, adios, au revoir, cheerio, and until Thursday evening, 9 o'clock, you folks take care. Enjoy the weather if you get it, and I'll see you real soon. And I'll get out of the way.
Silently the snow falls, paints a winter scene, swiftly spreads the dark rim, hides a fading autumn green. Moonbeams brush the dark wood,
Don't worry about it, Steve.
conjure friendships dear to me. Lightly now the breeze flows, disturbing more than just the leaves. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow. Patiently the love grows, lifts the weary heart. Gently now she holds me, melts two worlds once apart. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, usher dreams of you and me. Softly then the breeze blows, disturbing more than just the trees.
All together now,
But love's much more
so much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow,
But an
the
important
eternal flow. Melodies of long ago, songs of innocence, harmonies to soothe the soul, past of consequence. Moonbeams brush the dark wood, awakening joys of you and me. Silently the snow falls, bringing winter symphony.
all together now,
But we're much more
so much more
than we can know.
than we can ever possibly know.
We are one small glow
But a very important goal.
in the eternal flow. But life's much more than we can know. We are one small glow in the eternal flow.
So you take care, folks, and I'll speak to you all real soon. Thursday night, in fact. Take care.